Hello and welcome to this tutorial from StockCharts.com. Today's video is going to cover the basics of point and figure charting. This is the first of a two-part series. We'll show you how to create point and figure charts, some of the key information on point and figure charts, a little bit about deciphering, and how to adjust some of the settings. The first thing we need to do is create a point and figure chart, and you can do that at the top of any web page at StockCharts. You will see the Create a Chart section. There's a drop-down menu there, and change Sharp Chart to Point and Figure Chart. Enter your symbol and click Go. Also on the home page on the right-hand side, you will see Start to Chart, and there is the chart type, and you can select Point and Figure Chart, enter a symbol, and click Go. And we'll just start off with a point and figure chart for Tesla. So here we have the default point and figure chart for Tesla. And if you want to go back to a Sharp chart or another chart style, you can go down to the bottom of that chart and you'll see 4 different options there, and click Sharp Chart, and you'll be taken to a Sharp chart for Tesla. And if you're at a Sharp chart, any Sharp chart for that matter, and you want to move to a point and figure chart, you can go down to the bottom and you can click the point and figure chart link. Here we are on a default point and figure chart for Citrix systems, and there's some information at the top that you need to be aware of. Of course, you can see the date and the price information and volume. And you can also see the active point and figure pattern. There's not always a pattern that is active, but when there is, it will be listed up here at the top. And here we have a triple top breakout. And if you look on the chart, there you can see the 2 highs of the X columns prior, and then the triple top breakout there with the move above those 2 highs. You'll also see the scaling method, which is traditional, and the reversal amount, which is 3 bucks. The default settings for our point and figure charts include the trend lines, which are angled at 45 degrees. You can see the blue line is angled up at 45 degrees. It goes through each box in the middle, and the red line is angled down, going through each box in the middle as well. On this point and figure chart, the O columns are moving down, the X columns are moving up. And you can see the date markers. You've got a scale at the bottom with the years, and then you have the numbers for each individual month. 3 would be for March, 4 for April, and then we go over to A would be for October, B is November, C is December, and then we start again January 2014 there. Now, as with Sharp charts, you can also customize these point and figure charts, and the first place we want to do that is the chart attributes section. Now, before looking at that, notice that this chart, it's a daily chart. It goes all the way back to the beginning of 2013. So this is a pretty long-term chart here. If we go down to the chart attributes section, there you can see the first setting would be the period, and it's set at daily. But if we want to see more detail, we could go to an intraday setting. And you'd be surprised at how far back a 60-minute chart will go. I'm going to set it to 60 minutes. I'm going to click Update. And when we look at this chart, you can see it's going back to January 2014. So this is a pretty long-term chart as well. And it's got plenty of detail, and it's also not really a short-term chart at all. If we want to move back to a daily chart, we can go back down to the chart attributes section, or you can look at the top, and there's a period setting at the top there. So I can move from 60 minutes back to daily and click the update button to refresh that chart. Now, if you notice that this daily chart, as I said, is going back to January 2013, if you scroll down to the chart attributes, you will see the chart type. And here we have the high-low range is selected as default, but you can select close only. And that will make a difference because the high-low range obviously covers more price action, and it'll have more reversals, and it'll be a shorter time frame. If you choose a close only chart, it's going to be less volatile, have fewer reversals, and cover a longer time frame. And let's look at the difference. If I click Update, you can see on this close only chart, we're going back to the beginning of 2012 and actually into December 2011. So this is a very long-term time frame just by changing from high-low to close only. If you're on a point and figure chart and you see a pattern in the past and you're wondering what is that pattern, well, you can set this chart to stop on a particular date in the past. So if we look here, we can see a breakdown here in January 2015. That's the red one. And so I want to know what that pattern might be. Well, I can go down to the chart attributes section. There's the duration, and I can select the end date that I want. And you'll get a drop-down menu. And so I can go back to January, and we'll just put the middle of January 2015, and I'll click Update. That chart will refresh, and you can see it's stopping on that breakdown, and we can see the name of that pattern. It's a bearish pattern, so it's red. It's a descending breakdown, and it happened on January 13th. And a couple more things to highlight in the chart attributes section. You can change the size of the chart. You can change the color scheme to how you like it. And you can also color the columns, which is kind of handy. I'll click Update to show you how that works. And there you can see the O columns, which are falling, are red, and the X columns, which rise, are black. And further, you can set the decimal, you can do the scale factor, and if you want a price objective, you can choose breakout or reversal. And I'll go ahead and click Update so we can see that. So what we have here is we have a breakout here, and there's the price objective in green, 74, and you can also see it in the upper left. And you can read in the chart school about how these price reversals work. If you're on a point and figure chart and you don't quite understand something, you can always scroll just below the chart and there will be a link for instructions. And you click on that link, that will take you to the documentation. And on that page, you're going to find other links for even more explanations. We have a chart school article on price objectives and PNF patterns. And there's also a number of chart school articles on PNF charting, everything you wanted to know and maybe even more. So that concludes part one of this two-part series. In part two, we're going to go over the volume controls, chart scaling, and the different overlay section. And we'll also show you the different chart styles. Thanks very much for tuning in and have a great day.